And with that loss, ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia Flyers have set a new franchise record for consecutive losses in a season. 13. 13 in a row. Big old 13 to the New York Islanders. Man, it's gotten this bad. It really has. 13 straight. Will this team ever win another game? I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell you. You can't tell me. None of us are going to know when this team is going to win. You really just don't know. Yeah, they had their chances. They did tonight. But honestly, I still don't think they played good, as usual. So, big old 13. That is the result of today's hockey game. But before we get into all of that nonsense, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And the most important thing you can do is hit that sub button. I will greatly appreciate that. So if you are a new viewer looking for all the latest Philadelphia sports news, recaps, and events, this is the place to be at, depending on the outcome, great or miserable. It is usually miserable, depending on that outcome. So yeah, hit that sub button. Also, if you're a current viewer of the channel, I am grateful for you being here that long and looking to continue that down the road. Also, if you're looking for tickets to an upcoming sporting event, concert, whatever you can think of, use the code TTPSPORTS down below for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. So that could be a hockey game, basketball, football playoff, baseball, whenever the hell that decides to return. Also concerts, whenever you can use that. So that $20 down below basically takes all the fees away from SeatGeek, and you can use that $20 to buy food, beverage, all that expensive crap at sporting games. So yeah, free $20 in your pocket right there. Use the code TTPSports for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek today. So getting into the business tonight, 13 straight losses for the Flyers as they fall 4-3 to the New York Islanders. And this game was actually tied in the third period. The Flyers actually found a way to tie this game. And as per usual, they take a bad penalty and they score. Islanders score, that is. And that's basically how the game went. The Flyers actually led in this game 2-0, surprisingly. And that 2-0 lead for the Flyers was their first 2-0 lead since December 18th. It's been, what day is it today? The 25th? It's been over a month since the Flyers have led 2-0 or just have a 2-goal lead in general. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. It's been over a month since this team has probably had a 2-goal lead. That's how bad it's been. Yeah. Besides the fact that they struggle to score goals, they just suck all around. I know, yeah, injuries-wise, you don't really have anyone in the lineup, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make for any more of an excuse, because every other team in the league has to deal with it. Every other team has to deal with COVID and all that crap. So what's your excuse, Flyers? You're just not good enough. I think that's the logical explanation. You're just not good enough. You aren't. But, they gave you that slither of hope maybe that this was going to be a win. They gave you that slither. 2 early goals. One by Claude Giroux at the weirdest angle possible. I have no idea how this beats Sorokin. And then you got Justin Braun scoring off a deflection from Andy Green in front of the net. So the Flyers go up 2-0 halfway into this game. But I feel like that 2-0 lead was a little bit flawed because the Flyers weren't playing the best. They weren't the better team. The Islanders were definitely the better team in that first period. And eventually at the end, it did show because directly after Braun scores, the Islanders get a possession in the Flyers zone and it becomes Noah Dobson beating Jones, who was screened in front of the net, to make it a 2-1 game. And then eventually it becomes Anders Lee. He makes it a 2-2 game. And there was back and forth situations during that entire situation that became the Anders Lee goal. So 2-0 lead evaporates like nothing, and you go into the intermission tied. Into that second intermission, the Flyers were in a lot of penalty trouble today. They took a lot of penalties. From yesterday where there were no penalties whatsoever. They took a lot today. And the Islanders score halfway, I would say before halfway through, I would say more earlier in the second period. Matt Barzal, a little tic-tac-toe goal for Matt Barzal, making it a 3-2 game. And the Flyers really just had a poor second period. It was bad. It was just basically what you expected from this entire season. Their second periods have been dreadful. Even though this entire team has been dreadful, especially their second periods have been really dreadful. Third period, Gary Mayhew actually ties it early with a nice individual play on the left boards. Dekes the defenseman a little bit, gets into the slot, goes short side, past Sorokin to tie the game. I'm like, okay, game is tied. maybe the Flyers can force this to overtime like they normally do against the Islanders. But no, that doesn't come to be because the Flyers eventually take a delay of the game penalty halfway through this third period. And the Islanders, they don't score on this power play. The Flyers do indeed get a couple of shorthanded chances on this penalty kill. They don't cash in, and it eventually becomes an odd man rush for the Islanders, a 3-on-2 situation. It ends up being Zach Parise putting in the game-winning goal, making it 4-3, and that's basically how the game goes. The Flyers, they try and fail and fail. They pull the goalie with a couple of minutes left. Puck is in the boards in the corner for like 30 seconds. They can't get it out there. And then, I know there was a botched icing at the end of the game, but at the end of the day, does that really even matter? Would the Flyers even have scored with 6 seconds left? Probably not, with the way this game was going. And that's your game. And also, Keith Yandle breaks the Iron Man streak, so now he's the sole leader of that. So, good for him. Definitely good for him. A little round of applause for Keith Yandle. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's the biggest deal. It's like a good for him situation, but I doubt at this point with the way the team's been going, I doubt he really cares about that. And honestly, just with the way the team is going, this doesn't really, have that much effect. Yeah, it's a nice record to break for Keith Yandle, definitely is. But it doesn't have that same effect when your team is god dog trash. It's basically it. So, 3 stars of this game. Zach Parise, first star. Matt Barzal, second. And Keith Yandle got the 3rd star of this game. And totals for this game. Shots on goal. Islanders dominated in that factor. 33-17 in favor of them. They also dominated in faceoffs. Won 57% of those. They went 1 for 4 on the power play. The Flyers only got 1 in this game, so they go 0 for 1. Physical game on the Islanders side, 28 hits to 19 in favor of them. Flyers blocked a lot of shots, 16-10. Both teams gave the puck away a lot. And then shot totals through each period. In the first period, it was 9-8 in favor of the Islanders. So this was really the only period the Flyers, had some chance, because they scored 2 goals. Second period, shots favored 14-4 in favor of the Islanders. And then in the third period, 10-5 in favor of the Islanders. So yeah, 13. Big old 13-game losing streak. And you know what? It's going to be even more interesting because, tomorrow Chuck Fletcher has his, state of the team address, press conference, whatever the hell that's going to be. And I don't know what people are really going to expect going into that. He's not going to get fired. He wouldn't be having a press conference in general if he was getting fired. He's not going to step down. He literally just hired a new assistant coach, if I can bring up. Because I think it was a lot of people confused him with John Tortorella because that's what it looked like. So if I go to the Flyers Twitter right here, I probably should have had this pulled up earlier, but at the end of the day, they are the Philadelphia Flyers. So really nothing, I would say, in my honest opinion, I can care less of. But I still watch this team for some reason every single day. Don't know why, but I do. So if I can hopefully scroll down their Twitter feed so I can find this. Because it happened earlier this afternoon, I believe. Here we go. They hired John Torchetti. I think that's how you pronounce it. And, it goes back to, he has ties to Chuck Fletcher. He was in the Wild organization. I believe he was the head coach of their minor league team. He also has some stints with Detroit. I believe he was also at Nashville, if I am correct. So he's been around about. He was also, I think his recent job was in the QMJHL before the COVID stoppage started and that season got canceled. So yeah, he was in the QMJHL. He was on the Chicago Blackhawks as one of their assistant coaches when they won the Stanley Cup in 2010. He was also a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning when they first came into the league, the Florida Panthers as well, also with the Atlanta Thrashers, also with the LA Kings and the Minnesota Wild. So yeah, he's been around the bout. He's going to be he's going to be an assistant coach. So I know he's a really like a player-friendly type of coach. I know there's like some talk about him. Like a lot of players around the league really do like him. So I'm not sure what that's going to mean. At this point, he's basically just an assistant coach. And he has ties to Mike Yeo. He has ties to Chuck Fletcher. So it's basically one of those other situations. And basically that showcases to me that Chuck Fletcher is bringing in more people around his circle to where, honestly, his leash could not be as short as we expect it to be. So Basically, that's what I take from this entire situation. But I don't know. Is it as short as we think it could be? Is ownership, getting into the neck of Chuck Fletcher to try to do something? But, maybe Chuck Fletcher would have tried to done something or tried to do something if, when this losing streak was started. Is he getting pressure for ownership? I have no idea. I'm just spitballing off the top of my goddamn head. I don't know. The only thing, we will figure out something, maybe, during the press conference tomorrow, but I really don't think there's going to be any transparency from that press conference because, they're always cut and dry. They never really give you that much information. They're most likely going to go with the usual spiel that we're injured. We've been dealing with COVID. It sucks. Players are not playing to their expectations. We're not happy with the way they're playing. We're going to do everything we can to do blah, 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 blah. All the usual spiel that they talk about. All the usual excuses because they're not really going to give you a full-blown answer. They never do. That's what management does all around the league. They're not going to give you, the direction of what their plan is. They're not going to say who they're trading. I'm going to trade this guy. I'm going to trade that guy. But it would be nice, get some clarity, get some answers, just get how is the front office, actually feeling. Like, is there an actual direction of what the team is going to do? I don't know. And we can only find out tomorrow. That's really the only thing we can do. 13 straight losses. Like, sometimes you even do forget about, when you go to the game. No, not even going to the game, when the games come on. And, like, man, they really lost that many games in a row. It's like you don't think about it during the day, but when game time comes up and, they bring it up on the broadcast or when you're out there, you just, like, clicks in your head, like, man, they really lost that many in a row. It's that bad. It's that laughable. And honestly, you're getting into, Philadelphia sports-wise territory where, when the Sixers were during their process, or how bad they were during, you're getting to that stretch. You're getting to that stretch of how bad the Phillies are. Well, how bad the Phillies were back in, in this part of the decade. Even though the Phillies, still aren't successful right now, but still, I know I'm wearing Phillies. I want baseball back at this point, but still. You're getting into that territory. And it's not a good territory to be at. How do you fix it? Make the right decision. Make a direction for this franchise, whether that's going to be a retool or a rebuild. Just make a decision. That's really all we want at this point. I know some people are saying, fans might not be happy with a rebuild, but I think I've been seeing a lot of fans that are saying we just want a rebuild. We want a full-blown direction for this team. But I also do see a lot of people saying I don't want to go through that process again because they don't trust the organization to, do it again, because we went through with the Hextall era where, he praised the prospects and saying, wait for these guys to develop because they're going to be really good and this team's going to be really good in the near future. And look where we're at now. So I can understand really both sides of the argument of how fans feel. A lot of fans want to rebuild. A lot of fans don't want to rebuild because they don't want to go through the same crap again. So you're really at a standstill. You have to make the right decision. And really the only options are retool and rebuild. And is a full blow-up going to happen? I don't guarantee it just because of ownership. But I don't know. So I think that's where this is going to end. The Flyers do have 3 days off, so you don't have to worry about Flyers hockey from this standpoint. They don't play until Saturday against the Los Angeles Kings, where I'm going to be in the press box that game. So maybe the streak will end there. Maybe not. Who knows? But still. What are your thoughts on this game, everyone? What are your thoughts on this losing streak in general? Your thoughts on this Flyers team in general? Don't forget to leave those comments and opinions down in the comment section below. I'd like to hear them as always. Also, don't forget to drop a like on this video. Don't forget to check out the Paid Alliance, which I'm a part of. Their links are down in the description below. Also, don't forget to check out the links to BrodesMedia, the Florida Pod merch website, and also Flyers Nitty Gritty. And like I said at the beginning of the video, the most important thing you can do is hit that sub button and also use the code TTPSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. And I will see you next time.